so much light. Daylight all the time. And on sunny days, it's almost like you're sitting outside. It was that bright.
That surprised you, Grace?
It was a factory. I thought it'd be dark and dirty.
And why go to work there?
I was 15. It was time I paved my own way.
Pay your own way? What about school?
Oh, I didn't miss it so much. The girls were all so nice and work wasn't hard. It wasn't like factory work, really. It was more like art, painting those dials. We were artists. Irene, in here. Irene, what are you doing? Come.
Amelia's working inspection today.
Is that bad? Not for us.
She's gonna be sitting in here all alone in the dark, checking dolls.
Poor thing.
Poor thing.
So we're gonna give her a little surprise.
Boo! Like the Cheshire Cat.
Oh! Wouldn't that make her mad?
Oh, let her get mad.
That's half the fun. I don't want to make her mad. Oh, Grace, do you have to be that way about everything?
Your teeth, Grace. Put some on your teeth.
It ain't like Amelia don't deserve it. She paints more dolls than any girl on the floor. And can't be bored to talk to nobody either. You say, Amelia, what's new? She just looks at you funny. I don't think she can speak much English. It wouldn't learn to smile, would it? She's coming. Get the light.
Have y'all been off your minds?
It was just a joke. Just a joke. A joke like that can lose a girl her job.
Now, Mrs. McGill, I'm sure that's not necessary.
I don't tolerate no foolishness, Doctor.
Yeah, very, very good. Mr. Reader, this is the inspection room. All the dials come here that are painted. These are some of the girls that should be working on the floor. Girls, this is the new vice president and my new plant manager.
And here I was telling Mr. Reader what a fine bunch of girls we have here. He must think I'm halfway out of my mind.
Mr. Reader, perhaps you have some words for the girls. Mrs. McGill,
Well, girls, this paint you've been playing with, it's very expensive. You realize this? It takes several tons of ore to produce a single gram of radium. That's a lot of work. Hard work for the men in the extraction plant. But they do this work gladly. You know why they do this work gladly? What we're all fighting for?
The war?
Yes, the war. The dials you paint save lives, girls. Our boys depend on them to read in the dark, no mistaking what they see. Otherwise, some of these boys won't be coming home. Now, if you don't take your work seriously, you're playing into the hands of the Kaiser, and we don't want that, now do we?
No, sir.
So leave the tomfoolery to home, and get back to work.
Mr. Reader, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, I won't do nothing like this ever again.
Well, keep in mind, you do right by us, and we'll do right by you.
May 17th, 1921. Nancy Jane Harlan here for the New York Graphic, the New York Graphic's only female reporter.
Jack Youngwood for the Newark Ledger, Newark's first source for news.
Eminent scientist Madame Curie is going to embark on a whistle-top tour of the United States.
First stop, New York City, where she is greeted by an enthusiastic crowd of well-wishers.
High Priestess of Science is headed to Washington to receive 1 gram of radium as a gift.
Purchased for her by the Marie Curie Radium Club, an association of 100,000 American women.
Each donated $1 to support humanitarian research of radium.
Welcome all. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, I must ask you limit your questions, for Madame Curie is about to embark on an exhaustive tour of the country and is under strict doctor-orders arrest. Although, in the typical fashion of a scientist who can think only of her life's work, her research, she has refused to rest.
Madame Curie, what will you do with the radium? Huh? What will you do with the radium?
I will continue my experiments to find better methods for the treatment of the cancer.
Is radium a treatment for all types of cancers?
Cure for the cancer? Yes, cure for the cancer, that is so. It has already cured all kinds of the cancer.
But doctors dispute that.
So they do not understand the method. There is no question radium will cure the cancer.
Madame Curie!
Madame Curie!
Madame Curie!
How do you get the time to devote your science and to your children?
It has not been easy, but my daughters share my gratitude to the American women for their interest in science and my work. I am most grateful.
Madame Curie!
Madame Curie!
Madame Curie is on a tight schedule, Miss Andrew Carnegie is already sent for her car and will escort Madame Curie personally, as will I, to Washington, where President Harding will present the gift of 1 gram of radium.
You see that, Charlie? That's a marketing opportunity. We'll send over one of our watches, courtesy of the United States Radium Corporation.
We'll need a press release.
Radium isn't just for scientists to study. The average American can share in its glories every night. Luminous clocks, luminous watches. Think of all the advancements that have taken place in the past 50 years. The electric light, the telegraph,
The telephone
the automobile, all once dismissed as novelties, as toys.
are now essentials to modern life. Got it. That ought to sell some watches.
But that's not where the growth is now, Charlie. You heard the lady. The medical market.
And Standard Chemical owns it.
Only because von Strachey lets them take it. We can have 50% of it. It's just a matter of positioning.
Standard Chemical publishes its own journal, sends it out monthly to 12,000 doctors. We could do something similar.
Something scholarly that the doctors would respect.
A bibliography listing every article ever published on radium.
But with capsule reports, so they can find what they need, find it fast.
And have us to thank for it.
We'll send one to every doctor in the U.S. Radium Society.
Every doctor in the American Medical Association.
That's it, Charlie. Advertising. It's the wave of the future. It's not just what you promote, but it's how you promote it.
You should have seen it, Grace. The church was beautiful. It was filled with flowers, lilies and carnations and orchids. You know how Amelia loved orchids.
They weren't orchids.
They were orchids, Irene. I know.
Flags.
I know an orchid when I see one.
Well, it seems like a lovely service anyhow.
Oh, and Grace, that smell. What was it? It was like.
Flowers.
No. It was like heaven. I was gonna say it was like heaven.
Catherine, it was just a funeral. You make it out like it was some Valentino picture.
It wasn't just a funeral. It was Amelia's. And it was beautiful. You should have seen it, Grace.
The church was like the botanical gardens, and the company sent a big spray of flowers too. Carnations.
Mums.
Yellow carnations.
Those were mums. Well, it sounded like a lovely service anyhow.
Girls, the whistle's already gone. Now then, I have new instructions this day. We're going back to the old way of pointing the brushes. We was losing too much paint with the cloth.
But
Yes, Grace? Something you wish to say?
Dr. von Soshaki told me not to do that. He said it's unsanitary.
Unsanitary? Well, I can hardly believe he'd say such a thing. We've been doing it this way for as long as I've been here. You must have misunderstood him.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're not to get new brushes till you're done with the old. And they've gotten so bad they can't make a point no more.
You can't make a quota like that.
Well, you'll do your best then, since I have my instructions.
I need a new brush.
It's not for us to be asking questions, is it? It's for us to do the work.
I have my instructions, girls. I have my instructions.
Here's an instruction for you, McNeil. Let some of that stretch out of your corset. Was she at the service? McNeil? Are you kidding? You think she'd cross the street for her own mother?
Most everybody else was, though. You was about the only girl from the floor who wasn't there.
I wanted to come, but Mo was working and someone had to watch the little ones.
You could have brought them.
All 7?
Well, if it was me, I'd have tried to get there.
Just lay off. Grace feels bad as it. Were many of the fellows there?
Oh, yeah, lots of fellows from downstairs. Mr. Roth from the front office. Dr. Baltashaki was there. And Mr. Reeder.
And he left early.
So, he was there all the same. Oh, and Grace, you know the fellow from the crystallizing. What's his name? The one with red hair.
Oh, the tall one with the freckles?
That's the one who's always snapping his fingers all the time.
George. Jerry.
I think it's George.
It's Jerry. Jerry Mallon? He's the one who was always talking to Amelia in the day room.
Oh, and Grace, when the mass was over, he goes up to the coffin. He goes up and he goes like this. He goes like.
No, yes.
Really?
Oh, for pity's sakes.
Well, he did. Nobody could believe it.
So what did he do?
So what? So what? He was in love with her. That's so what. Don't you think so, Grace?
Well, he must have been if he did that.
And can you imagine? Can you imagine? He was in love with her and never told her, never could bring himself to say, because she was so beautiful. And he was so shy. And now it's too late. It's too late. Their love is forever thwarted. He never got the chance to tell her. And he'll never get the chance to ever again.
Poor Amelia.
Poor Amelia.
Poor kid.
Her family took it awful bad, Grace. Albina, Quintina, everybody. Every one of them crying, even her father crying so bad. I never seen a man cry before, not like that. Just bawl like a baby.
And you know why, too, because their daughter just died. What she died from.
Shh, don't go spreading stories.
It's not a story. Albina told us. Lois and Grace should have known. Know what? Know what? Amelia?
Ain't it awful? Albina said her father's fit to be tied too. 6 girls at home and ain't none of them ever going to a dance ever again.
All because Amelia upped and died from some shh. I can't help if that's what she died from. You don't know that for sure.
It's on the death certificate.
Anemia and complications from syphilis. But Amelia was ever so nice. Yeah, she got around more than we know. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe the doctor got it wrong. Come on. He could have got it wrong. Doctors are wrong sometimes.
That's true. Doctor was wrong about on Ivy.
What's Mama got to do with it?
Irene, don't you remember? Up till the day she died, doctor said, nice cup of tea, good night's rest. 3 days later, we was taking her to Rosedale Cemetery.
Girls, your attention please. The gentlemen are here to make an announcement.
Thank you, Miss McNeil. We'd like to put some rumors to rest.
And to explain some changes, yeah?
Now, as some of you may have heard, the doctor is stepping down, and he'd like to take this opportunity
To make with goodbye, and Mr. Reader has kindly consented. Some of you girls I have known since you were very young, at the beginning of the war, coming here, every day, working so hard. 300, 400, sometimes even 500 dials a day, mixing up the paint. With this company, I start in my own kitchen. I knew I made something special. And now, what do I read? Many, many more ways we can use this radium. More than I ever dreamed possible.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Now, girls, the doctor's a very busy man and must be on his way. So let's wish him best of luck in his new business venture.
The slowdown in dial painting,
Now, Doctor,
and the introduction into the medical market. There's going to be some big changes, yeah?
what the doctor is referring to, some of our larger customers are opening up their own dial painting studios.
Which means less work for the girls here.
However, the Waterbury Clock Company in Connecticut could use help setting up its new studio. We were going to make an announcement next week, but I guess we'll make it now. Miss McNeil.
Well, we were going to ask some of you girls to go on up there.
The work is supervisory in nature, which means more pay. Do you have any girls in mind?
Louise Conlin was one, Sarah Deutsch, Lena McCarthy, and Catherine Shaw. I have the entire list downstairs. I'll post it later today.
Now, as we're all on the clock, we'll let you get back to work.
Very well, girls. My best wishes to you.
It's back to work with you girls.
You're gonna do it, Catherine? You're gonna take that job?
Would you, Grace? Would you go to Connecticut?
Oh, I don't know. It's awful far from home. Tommy would have a fit.
Oh, come on. It'd be fun. Wouldn't it be fun, Irene? Irene?
Irene, honey, you all right?
Yeah, sure. Why wouldn't I be all right?
Your mouth is bleeding.
$35 a week, and she quits the place.
More to life than money.
That's what you say when you're young, Tom. But you and Grace get to be my age, with a house full of your kids underfoot. You'll thank God for every penny you put by.
We got money put by.
How much?
Enough to get married on.
Don't take much to get married on. Do you have enough to stay married on?
You let us get married and we'll find out.
Are you still eating, Tommy?
It's good.
You're going to get fat.
Gotta keep up his strength. He works hard for his money.
Don't start, Ma.
I didn't say nothing. It was your father who hit the roof over it.
He didn't hit the roof.
You should have seen the man's face, Tom. When he found out Grace wasn't working no more, most girls would give their eye teeth for a job like that. Good money, easy work, nice-looking fellas around the plant.
You didn't tell me nothing about them, Grace.
There wasn't that many of them. Hardly seemed worth the mention.
And she leaves it all behind, for reasons unknown. I'm tired of it up there, she says. Are you tired of that paycheck, I says? Who needs a paycheck? I got me a boyfriend to take me out Saturdays.
She said that.
Oh, you know I didn't. And for your information, I got a job. I start on the bank on Monday.
Oh, the bank. And what's it pay?
Enough.
You know what that means, Tom. It don't come close to what it pays up at the radium plant.
It's office work.
Office work? Well, I guess you'll be spending more money on clothes then.
know, she seemed real steamed to you.
I don't see what difference it makes, as long as I'm working somewheres.
It doesn't make a difference to me. I thought you liked it up there.
Sure, I liked it. I worked there 4 years.
So, I've been delivering mail 8 years. And with another 20 or 30 years, I'll have a good pension.
I don't have a pension, and I sleep just fine.
I'm sure you do. So how come you quit, Grace?
Lots of girls are quitting. Work was slow. Besides, ever since Irene left, it's just been not as much fun. And would you rather have a girlfriend who works at the bank?
Be better than having a wife who doesn't work at all.
Close your eyes. I got a surprise for you.
You want me to pull the shades?
Now open.
Wallpaper.
For the baby's room.
Baby's room? You won't hardly kiss me when you're talking about babies.
There's gonna be babies eventually, Tommy.
Babies. Most women get married before they start painting the nursery.
Well, plan ahead for once, so pick one.
They're both the same.
No, they're not. This one has little flowers, this one has big flowers.
Is this a test?
No, it's just wallpaper.
Alright, that one.
Really?
No, this one.
But which one do you like, though?
I don't know. Whichever one you like.
But I want you to like it, too.
If you like it, I'll like it. Wallpaper is wallpaper.
No, it's not. You need to pick something you can stand to look at for the next 20 years.
Same way you pick women?
Keep it up, smarty pants. You won't never get that kiss.
Alright. This one, hands down.
I like it, too. A nice neutral yellow would go nice with either a boy or a girl's room. And in the meantime, we can use the room for other things.
Other things? Like what?
Like a painting studio.
A painting?
Maybe.
You don't get enough painting at work.
Not the kind I wanted to do, Tommy. I used to do watercolors when I was a girl. But ever since I went to work, I haven't had no time. What with watching the kids and helping Mom. Once we get married, I just want some time. Some time to myself so I could do watercolors. Or oils, maybe. Maybe portraits in oil. I can paint your picture if you like.
Sure, paint a big old picture of me. We'll hang it in the outhouse. All our friends will come around to use the can, just to see.
The way you talk sometimes.
If you want to paint pictures, I ain't gonna stop you.
You say that now, Tommy, but once we're married, you'll change your tune.
Sure, I'll be whistling Dixie.
Wait till you come home one evening, all wore out. Some Christmas maybe, when every customer's on your list have 3 times the mail. And maybe some dog went after you. Some old lady kept you waiting on her soup telling you all about her grandchildren. You hadn't the heart to tell her you can't talk. I know you, Tommy. So you come home, all cranky and late besides, hungry, waiting your dinner, and there I am, with my drop cloth on the floor, my easel set up in the kitchen, my paints all over the table. What would you say then?
Better be a picture of me you're painting.
I know what you'd say. Where's my dinner? That's what you'd say. Where's my dinner?
Well, I'd still admire the painting. I'd just like to do it on a full stomach. So, how'd I do? Pick the right wallpaper?
I don't know. Maybe I'll go look at stripes.
Stripes? Polka dots? I don't care. Grace, let's get married. You're plenty old enough. Just tell your mom we're running away.
Tommy, we're not running away. We're gonna do it right. A nice church wedding with flowers and music. And a week at the seashore, just us. And then we'll get our own little place and you'll see. It'll be worth the wait.
Your mouth hurt you?
Yeah, the dentist wants to pull another tooth in the back.
Well, what's a tooth?
Hazel Cusser, any connection to the others?
Only by virtue of employment.
Except she's got a good lawyer.
Knows how to write a good letter anyway, that lawyer.
And she no longer works here.
Left 6 months ago.
This makes 4 now.
3.
4 if you count the Magia girl.
I wouldn't include her.
She worked here.
She worked a lot of other places as well. And what she died from, you can't pick up here. At least I don't think you can.
It's not funny, Charlie, besides. It's just idle talk.
In my experience, there's something to the idle talk when it comes to girls like that.
From a large family, wasn't she?
Italians. The conditions they live in. 10, 12 people in 3 rooms. It's a wonder they don't all die from one infection or another.
3 then. And how many dead?
Only the Magia girl, but we haven't heard from her people yet.
It's too late for them anyways. The statute of limitations is 2 years. Hazel Custer, though, she's another story. She's in a position to make some trouble now.
In all the time I've worked here, no one has so much as slipped on the floor. And now this?
We're talking 4 out of how many hundreds of girls we've employed?
6. 700 over the years.
And a lot of them were already in bad condition when you hired them. One girl, completely crippled, couldn't even get up the stairs. Her father carried her up to the studio every morning.
It makes no difference to me how she got to work in the morning. She was a good worker and a very sweet little girl.
but she was in poor health.
She needed the work, Charlie.
Charlie.
And not just for the money. She needed the work to feel productive, to have a purpose. Because that's what working does. It gives us a purpose. I don't see any reason why we should stop hiring girls like that.
When they get sick and try to blame us for it, you may want to reconsider that policy.
We'll call Dr. Drinker then.
Dr. Drinker.
Some professor from the Harvard School of Industrial Medicine.
He chairs the department, and he's agreed to take a look at our operations.
Don't you think we're jumping the gun a bit, hiring him?
We've had 6 girls quit this week, and Miss McNeil tells me there could be more.
Girls come and go all the time.
It's never been like this, Charlie. Never. These girls are terrified. We have to do something to calm them.
Letting Drinker examine them? Sounds like a recipe for mass hysteria to me.
We'll tell him it's a routine physical. Edward?
Companies give physicals all the time.
Perfect. Then he'll start next month.
Until then, I suggest we make an offer to Miss Cussing.
Settle?
There's no proof her problems are connected to us.
If she sues, believe me, you won't like the publicity it brings, and neither will your investors.
You think this will affect the stock offering?
Don't you?
Wonderful. We'll open at 30 and close at 10.
Or not open at all.
But if we give this girl something, she'll stay quiet?
It would be a condition of the settlement.
Maybe we better do it.
Suppose this lawyer has a racket going. He finds sick girls and talks them into making suits. We reward him for his larceny?
But unless Miss Kusu genuinely believes she got sick here.
It could be like Charlie said. She comes from a large immigrant family, not well educated, not a lot of resources.
$100 makes a big difference to a girl like that.
Certainly. Pay a few medical bills, buy some medicine. By the sounds of that letter, I don't think she has long to live anyways.
So, it would be a gesture of decency then.
Exactly.
What should we offer?
March 24th, 1924. Jack Youngwood here for the Newark Ledger.
And Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic, the New York Graphic's only female reporter.
Could radium water pose as a cure for crippling arthritis? Scientific studies suggest a connection.
Dateline, Orange, New Jersey. Radium water poses a cure for crippling arthritis.
Some patients report significant abatement in their symptoms.
Mrs. Jeremy Michaels tells us how radium water transformed her life.
My pain got so bad I couldn't hardly bend over.
Others report only mild relief.
This poor woman couldn't even kiss her own children goodnight.
And I got 3. Let me tell you, they are a handful.
Dr. Harrison Martlis, Chief Medical Examiner for the Essex County, commented on the study.
Preliminary at best.
Your recommendations, Dr. Martlis?
I advise further study.
Then, Miss Michaels tried Radithor.
They told me it would help my rheumatism, so I took a bottle a day for a week. It wasn't cheap, but I was desperate.
The test sample is questionably small.
Well, for starters, it felt like I'd been hit by lightning. It was that powerful. Now I take a bottle a week just to maintain my health. I can cook and clean the same way I always done.
Dr. William J.A. Bailey of Orange, inventor of Radithor, reports strong demand for his product.
Dr. Bailey from Orange shares about how the sales of Radithor have skyrocketed to over $1,000 million worldwide.
Radioactivity is one of the most remarkable agents in the medical science. I drink Radithor myself, and I can vouch for its power.
A bottle a day?
At $1 a bottle?
Worth every penny.
Yes, indeed. I myself was the picture of lethargy before I discovered the benefits of radium water. Now look at me. I'm nearly 50 years old, and I have the energy of a 30-year-old man.
You rather look like a man in his 30s.
Well, thank you.
Testament to the tonic's potency.
Or to the seller's creativity?
Radithor, a perpetual sunshine.
A perpetual money machine for its inventor.
Is there no end to what science can do?
Maybe we should have made an appointment.
Don't need no appointment.
But it's a busy place, Catherine. If we don't have an appointment, maybe you should make one.
I shouldn't need no appointment for this. I'm sorry, I didn't find anything under shop. The shop? No, it's under Rudolph. Rudolph? The girl I'm asking about, Irene Rudolph.
Did she file the complaint?
No, the dentist did.
The dentist?
Dr. Neff, Irene's dentist. He said she had fussy jaw and was going to go complain to the health department about it. But when I asked him, he said he hadn't heard nothing. And it's been more than 6 months now.
Fussy jaw, you said?
Yes.
Catherine, it could have been like your doctor said. A blood infection.
Yeah, but what gave it to her? That's the thing. What was it from?
From dirt.
You get infections from dirt.
From dirt? You think you get something like that from a little dirt? You get it from phosphorus. They're telling everybody it's the radium in the paint, but really it's the phosphorus that makes it glow.
Oh, really, Catherine? You can't seriously believe that.
You saw her, Grace.
If it was like you say, they'd never let you work up there.
Sure, they shut it down.
Who'd shut it down?
I don't know. The county?
Honestly, Grace, you're such an idiot.
Hey!
How are they going to shut it down if they don't know about it? Ever think of that?
Now, come on.
Tommy, it's alright.
She has no business talking to you like that, Grace.
Well, she's just upset.
Upset? She's gone around the bend. She probably thinks they're dumping arsenic in the drinking water. Pretty soon she'll think that they're kidnapping babies to stoke the furnace.
Oh, you go ahead and laugh. You won't be laughing so hard when it's you coming in here 6 months from now asking after Grace.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Catherine, it's just a toothache.
Just a toothache. That's how it started for Irene, too. Just a toothache. You wait, Grace, you wait. You wake up one morning, your teeth hurting so bad you won't be able to open your mouth. You're so weak and sick you won't be able to stand up.
Stop it, Catherine.
The pain's so bad you won't be able to sleep. The face so swollen you won't be able to stand beside yourself.
I said stop it. Grace is fine. Aren't you, Grace?
Irene Rudolph?
Yes, she worked at the radium plant?
Yes, ma'am.
No. What? The company is in full compliance with all state health and labor regulations. They ordered an analysis.
Let me see that.
Miss, really?
Who's Miss Young?
She's a health officer. Miss,
Paint is a harmless compound of radium and zinc.
as I was saying, the analysis shows there's no phosphorus anywhere in the paint. There's no phosphorus anywhere in the plant.
There. You see, Catherine?
Miss Young toward the plant herself. Sorry.
I want to file another complaint.
They already filed one.
I want to file another complaint.
Catherine, these folks, they're awful busy here.
I want to file another complaint.
I just don't see what good this is going to do, Catherine, to make such a fuss this way.
Grace, 3 surgeries and they wanted to cut her again. She finally said no. She knew. What was left of her jaw rotted so bad. The smell was terrible. And Grace, the worst part of it is, she was so afraid of being alone. But I left her alone. And it was the middle of the night when she died. No one was with her.
I'm sorry. Can we have another form? My friend would like to file another complaint.
Another complaint? Is the girl still sick?
No, she died.
Wait right there.
Harriet, you'll come down from that tree at once.
I'm waiting for Papa.
Fine. When he gets here, I'll send him up after you.
There he is. Papa.
Harriet!
Harriet, come down at once.
Papa, he's here in church.
Can you? Do you see your grandfather?
No, but I see the schoolhouse.
You think this is funny?
She's enjoying herself.
Harriet!
Tell you what, if she has no one to shout to, she won't shout.
When she comes down, I want you to speak to her.
She's 9 years old, Diana.
I'm trying to raise a daughter, not a son.
Time is on your side. Tell you what, in another 2 years, she'll lose all interest in trees and develop a fascination with boys.
And that's supposed to scare me?
Then, when that time comes, you'll be frantic that she no longer wants to climb trees.
What's this?
It's supposed to give you vitality.
You think I need vitality?
That's what the label says.
Is it pure?
We're a supplier. Do you want to try it?
Well, if it'll give me vitality, how can I refuse? Your father came to see you today.
Another hard luck case?
4 kids at home, all under the age of 6.
Let me guess. Mother in the hospital with cancer.
Yes.
And husband's been laid off from, let's see, the brickyard.
Yes.
Through no fault of his own.
How did you know?
Dad came by to see me yesterday. You know, it's never enough with him to have ordinary ambitions. You need to have purpose in life, a mission.
You do.
No, I have a business plan.
You can't tell me you wouldn't help this man if you could.
If I could, but I can't give him a job that doesn't exist.
What about Dan Lehman?
Dan?
Maybe he could use some help.
In the laboratory? Dan needs a trained technician. Not a bricklayer. Senator and Mrs. Middleton, don't you women have a social club for these kind of things?
You mean the Women's Club Civics Committee?
Right.
Yes, the club does take an interest in such cases, but we're not an employment service either, which is why I thought you could help them.
Oh, you love being married to the company president.
It has its advantages.
Ever think of trading it in?
Do you?
Well, I was getting my shoes shined the other day, and when I sat there and watched the boy work, I thought to myself, this is quite the enterprise. You know, work walks in, work walks out. No inventory, no warehouses, no health inspections, and no stock prices.
And you trade all of it in for your own shoe shine stand?
Fewer headaches that way.
Oh, so you're in one of those moods again. What is it this time? Can't be the market. It went up today.
Oh, so now you're reading the financial pages?
I need to entertain myself somehow. What happened today anyway? You're acting strange.
Am I? I'm sorry.
Tell me.
No, really, there's nothing. This is gonna be one of our best years yet.
So it's the prospect of success that you find so disheartening.
I'll get my checkbook.
What for?
For your bricklayer.
Artie, he needs a job, not charity. What is it your father says? A working man needs to work. It wears
on his soul not to work. Well, if it's a matter of his soul, then I'll have him talk to Dan.
Artie,
No promises, Diane.
no promises.
To your health.
So, how long have you had this drainage?
A week or so. Heard something awful, Dr. Neff.
Anything else bothering you?
My back hurts some too.
You're back now. You seen your regular doctor about this?
He says it's nerves.
Nerves?
About my wedding and all.
This ain't no case of nerves. Hope you told him that.
Then, well, what do you think?
Think you better reschedule that surgery.
Couldn't I wait till after my wedding?
You ain't gonna have the surgery. You ain't gonna have a wedding.
Huh?
Swear, I want you to listen to me. Your jawbone, it's decaying. It's the black pus oozing out of your gums. It's the bone itself.
That's impossible.
To Mr. Arthur Reeder, U.S. Radium Corporation, from Cecil Drinker, Harvard University, encloses our report.
Finally!
We believe the trouble in your plant is due to the radium.
The radium?
It can't be as bad as all that.
This can't be.
Well, put off the surgery, you could develop a septic condition. It could be fatal.
The blood changes in your employees can be explained on no other ground.
Everything I've got, I saved for my wedding.
Photographic film carried by employees show heavy fogging.
Well, I got a suggestion for you.
And we suspect high levels of gamma radiation throughout the plant.
Go to the radium plant and explain your situation.
Go to the company?
We realize no proof can be offered at present.
Once I see what kind of shape you're in,
This is impossible.
I feel obligated to help you out.
But in view of the material and the literature,
This is a mistake.
and the facts disclosed by our investigation,
I don't see how they could refuse.
we recommend immediate and drastic remedial action.
If you want, I'll write to them for you. They can go through me and just pay my bills directly.
You really think they do that?
Charlie!
Got a moral obligation, don't you think?
I guess so.
We'll do it right now. I'll get some paper.
He has to be wrong. Look at this.
He must have overlooked something.
If it's a new ailment caused by the radium, it should occur generally throughout the plant.
One would expect.
Several hundred milligrams in crystallizing, in ore, in solution in the vats.
The entire backyard is filled with tailings.
Radium is present in good amounts all across the property.
If it was the radium, you'd expect the highest rate of illness to be in the laboratory.
And no one there is sick.
It could be some combination of the zinc and the radium.
Or something peculiar to our plant alone.
A bacteria in the brushes.
It can't be the radium. There are dozens of application plants all across the country, and none of them have seen anything like this.
The Department of Labor wants to see the report.
Yes, I'm aware.
What are we gonna do? This could ruin us, Arthur.
They want to see the report. Fine. They want to see the report. We'll show them this.
One page?
The most important page.
Drinker will never stand for this.
Drinker works for us. Besides, this is a proprietary report. What we do with it is our business.
Arthur, the Department of Labor.
We just need a little more time, Charlie.
They could put us out of business for this.
Scientists, government men, they have no idea what it takes to run a company. Von Sachok thought advertising was a dirty word, and he laughed at the very idea of promotion. I can't tell you how many times I walked into his office and he turned a deaf ear at everything I had to say. But Charlie, we did it. We did this. We made it. We are the world's single largest supplier of radium. The largest in the world. And all this hard work we've done, I'm not going to stand idly by and let our good name be dragged through the mud. Trust me, Charlie. Trust me.
Dr. Flynn, it's awful nice of you to come all this way.
Not at all, dear. Not at all.
I told the doctor you was coming over and he gave me the results of my blood work back.
Excellent.
And so?
I must say, Miss Fryer, your blood looks better than mine.
It does?
That's what happens to an old man who smokes. Now, tell me, what else is troubling you?
My back and feet mostly. I've had to wear a brace for a while.
I see. And this was before you left the company or after?
After I left. Dr. Neff says this all has to do with the radium plant. I know a girl from the plant who died from it, Irene Rudolph.
Ah, yes, terrible thing. Vincent's angina.
What's that?
It's an ulcerated condition of the mouth, my dear.
From the radium?
Oh, no. Just a rare result of poor dental care. So let this be a lesson to you. Always brush your teeth.
There's something else in the papers, too, about other girls who got sick. One girl I used to work with for a while. She's in the hospital in New York, and the doctors don't know what to do. They've never seen anything like it, and...
Miss Fryer, don't tell me you listen to the papers. Their stories are not scientific.
But...
Reporters write to sell, not to educate. The scientist is not concerned with what sells. He undertakes years of painstaking study to arrive at an understanding of intricate natural processes that most people could not presume to comprehend. You would do well to listen to science and ignore the nonsense that's printed in those papers, because I can tell you right now, radium has nothing to do with what's ailing you.
It doesn't?
Not in the least.
Then what is ailing me?
Poor diet, Miss Fryer. Poor diet.
But Dr. Neff says...
Dr. Neff is a dentist, not a physician. What you have is a vitamin deficiency. You must eat more fresh fruit.
Hard to do in the winter.
And raw meat as well. That will help with the anemia. Raw calf's liver, particularly. Cook it if you must, but eat it twice a week at a minimum. Oh, no, Miss Fryer. I'm a scientist. By allowing me to examine you, you are helping me advance my studies, I think. Call me anytime, day or night.
Okay, Dr. Flynn. Thanks.
Happy to be of service, my dear.
Dr. Frederick Flynn, PhD, Columbia University. PhD? That's not a real doctor.
My findings, Mr. Reader.
He's seen about half a dozen girls at the plant. Word I hear, he's working for the company.
An objective evaluation, I trust?
The source of my funding has no bearings on my research.
And I let that fella examine me.
I never examined her, per se. It was not a medical examination, per se.
Nevertheless, you were able to offer some useful advice?
I did my best for her.
Every girl he sees is the same thing. Nothing wrong with you.
Your blood's better than mine, Seth.
And how is the report going?
The animal studies I've conducted reveal no adverse effects from the radium. The problem, as you suspected, is one of personal hygiene only.
I just can't believe somebody would do that. Straight or lie to you like that.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
It's exactly as you said, Catherine. Those people will do anything. They'll say anything.
Except the right thing.
Well, we're gonna make them. We're gonna make sure somebody hears about this.
I'm most grateful, Dr. Flynn. But I'm more grateful that the young lady you examined is doing so much better.
I never examined her, no. I merely consulted.
But she is doing better.
Yes, as I can tell, she is on the road to recovery.
Excellent.
Here's a list of my fees and expenses.
I will have Mr. Lee draw you a check.
I leave you now with this one thought, ladies and gentlemen. We do not have to accept injustice. We can use our powers as consumers to influence the practices of those who would wish to profit from our patronage. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wiley, and thank you to the New Jersey's Consumers League for another job well done. This concludes our program for this evening. I do not believe we have time for questions, but we'd like you to join us next door for some light refreshments.
Grace, do you want anything?
My throat's a little dry.
help you, miss?
I'm just here to see Miss Wiley.
Are you a member of the women's club?
No, ma'am.
Are you a guest of a member?
No, ma'am.
And I'm sure Miss Wiley will be happy to see you on our regular business hours.
I'm not leaving till I see Miss Wiley.
All right, Mrs. Moncton, it's fine. You must be Miss Fryer.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Young at the health department told me I should see you. I know I should have stopped by your office hours, but I missed a lot of work lately, and I don't want to miss no more.
I've been meaning to call on you myself. Please, sit down.
Me and Catherine, we sent letters to the company asking them to help us, but none of them responded. So we went to see a couple lawyers about it, but they all said they couldn't do nothing because it's been so long since we left the radium plant. Something about the law won't allow it.
The statute of limitations.
Right, and one lawyer, he said he would try to sue anyhow, but he wants $1,000 up front. I already spent everything I saved for my wedding on doctors and dentists and hospitals, and I still don't know what's wrong exactly. And Tom, that's my fella, he says he don't care. He wants to get married anyhow. But I just wonder, what good would I do him like this? Miss Wiley, if I could just get my compensation, I could settle my debts, and then maybe I wouldn't feel like I'm saddling Tom with such a burden. I'm sorry to rattle on at you about these things, but I'm just so tired of being pushed around.
I don't blame you.
Miss Young at the health department, she said you had, what was it, clout?
I'd like to think so. We've certainly had our share of successes.
Can you help us then?
Tell me, Miss Fryer, just how far are you willing to go with this?
Ma'am?
Suppose I do find a lawyer to take your case. Someone willing to take it on a contingency. You wouldn't have to pay him unless you won. Would you be willing to sue?
I want my compensation.
Of course you do. Now, suppose the company says, here's some money for you, Miss Fryer, only you are to tell no one what we've agreed to. You are to say nothing about how you got sick.
Keep quiet, you mean?
Yes.
That don't seem so right.
It isn't right, but that's what they'll do. They will try to buy your silence. Is it for sale, Miss Fryer?
No, ma'am, it isn't.
Good.
So will you help us then?
I think I can help you, if you're willing to take some chances.
Chances?
Miss Fryer, if you would be willing to set aside your own needs, just for the moment, we can put a stop to that company. We can stop them dead in their tracks.
What do I need to do?
We start by putting you on page 1.
Page 1? You wanted to talk to the newspapers?
Not just one newspaper, many newspapers.
Is all that necessary? We just want Grace to get a conversation.
Let her finish.
I understand your concerns, but this company has already shown that it's willing to go to extremes to protect itself. No, I'm afraid the only way we'll get to them is to hit them where it matters the most, their public image. When every newspaper in America tells your story, how you were sorely treated, how you suffered, how the company denied all responsibility. Believe me, Miss Fryer, when that happens, Arthur Reeder will come to the table with his hat in his hands.
All right, Miss Wiley.
I know it's a little frightening.
It's okay. Right now, I'm more angry than I'm scared.
Good. You hang on to that anger. Only be sure no one else sees it.
Ma'am?
Public sympathy, Miss Fryer, our strongest weapon. And the public doesn't have much sympathy for an angry woman.
December 4th, 1927. Jack Youngwood here reporting for the New York Ledger.
And Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
On the strange case of the Radium Girls.
Who claim they've been poisoned at the hands of their employers.
And now seek their day in court.
$250,000.
That's the price tag on their suffering.
$250,000?
Ask me, it's all a sham.
What do you mean? Those girls are very sick.
Sick of working, sure.
Doctors say the Radium Girls only have a year to live.
1 year to live and 250 grand to spend. What would you do with that kind of money?
What would you do to ease your last suffering days on Earth? What would you do with $250,000?
I'd buy a wardrobe like Iron Castle's. I'd give it all to charity. Then I'd travel around the world, first class with all my friends.
I'd play the stock market.
I'd buy my wife a fur coat and a diamond the size of New Hampshire.
I'd use it to pay off my medical bills and pay off the second mortgage on our house, the one my dad took out to pay for my last operation.
Pretty Grace Fryer sits at home,
Suffering bravely through this entire ordeal.
struggling valiantly to keep up her flagging spirits.
For the sake of her family and her friends.
I try to smile, but it hurts to smile. But I know if I don't, I'll go crazy.
How does it feel, Miss Fryer, to know you have such little time left to live?
I try not to think about it.
But it must get to you sometimes.
Knowing what you've been through and all.
And the company is getting fat off your labor.
And the only thing they have to say for it is...
No comment.
Don't you just want to punch somebody?
Oh no, that won't do any good. I'd rather think about how it's gonna be when justice prevails. Then I can do something nice for the folks. Send them on a trip maybe. They never did have no honeymoon.
What a fine example of womanhood. If we could only aspire to bear a cross as nobly as this young woman.
Mr. Barry, I must object to these kind of histrionics.
I had nothing to do with that, Mr. Markley.
I've been in this game a long while, Mr. Barry. When I see a story like this, move over the wires. I'm not so naive as to believe that the plaintiff's attorney has nothing to do with it.
What is your proposal, Mr. Markley?
$1,500 for each girl.
$1,500?
That's not even a year's wages. We think it's very generous, considering your case won't survive the statute of limitations.
This is a case in equity, sir. The Chancery Court will come to a different conclusion.
The Chancery Court can't rewrite the law, and the law is clear. 2 years from the date of injury, your clients are out of time.
2 years from the date the cause of injury is discovered.
Very creative, Mr. Barry. Very clever. I have to admit, I admire your imagination, but you've got a long way to go before you convince the judge.
And in the meantime, Mr. Markley, the press will continue to take a great interest in this story and in the company's complete indifference to its workers.
No doubt that will make for good press for the Consumers League. And you accuse us of exploiting these girls.
You're the one hiding behind the statute of limitations.
Hiding, Miss Wiley?
You know very well the law never anticipated a situation like this. These girls were dying years before anyone knew the cause.
Before anyone knew? Does that include the U.S. Radium Corporation, Miss Wiley? When, or should I say, if your case goes to trial, I only hope that's your opening argument, Mr. Barry. You will have made our case. See you at the hearing.
Dear Mrs. Shaw, I read of your sad story in the Boston Globe, and I am so sorry for your plight. I wanted to give you girls the key to my own good health at the age of 92. It's called Christian Science.
Dear girl, I heard about you in the Billings Gazette. I run 100 head of cattle up here and do very well by myself. I have always longed for a companion and am well equipped to offer you a comfortable home in your final hours. A girl like you has suffered so much. Don't you feel like you deserve a few fleeting hours of happiness? Sincerely, Leonard F. Watkins, your admirer. P.S. Enclosed is my picture.
You all right, Catherine? Bleeding again?
Shall I get the nurse?
No, don't go.
Don't you need to sleep?
Who can sleep? I never sleep.
Well, you'll sleep tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'll wake up.
Of course you'll wake up.
Not if it don't go well. Sometimes you don't come out of it so good. My mother's cousin went in for her appendix. She never came home again.
Well, you just can't think that way, that's all. Look at this mail, Catherine. Miss Wiley said folks would be on our side, and she sure was right. Look, here's one from Halifax.
What if we don't win?
Of course we'll win.
But what if we don't? My father will lose his house and be on the street. You'll be on the street. Your father must owe thousands. And you and Tom won't ever get married. How can you stand it,
Catherine,
Grace?
please.
How can Tom stand it? I don't ever hear him complain.
Catherine, once the judge hears our testimony, he's gonna rule for us. All they have to do is take one look at us. It'll be over in a day.
Think so?
Sure. Once you see what kind of shape we're in, we'll be awful hard to ignore, don't you think?
That'll be something then, won't it?
Now, you want to read some more letters? Took you long enough.
Don't get on me. I had 6 people stop me. All of them reporters asking after you.
Waiting on me to die.
No one's waiting for you to die.
It's true. One of them called my mother asking if I had died, and when she said no, he sounded disappointed.
Good evening, girls. How about a picture?
For the love of Mike, what are you doing?
We need pictures for the exclusive on the girls.
Exclusive? What's that for?
$5,000. That's what it's for. What do you say, Grace? Do you want that? Does that sound so good to you? What do you think you'd spend with $5,000?
I don't understand.
Perhaps you're familiar with Bernard McFadden.
The faith healer?
Herbalist, Mr. Krieger. Herbalist. Bernard McFadden's patented herbal therapy is just what these girls need to get them back on their feet. And the graphic will pay for all of it. All we want is exclusive rights from the story from here on in. Take a look yourself.
There you are. Have a good day.
They're serious, Grace.
I don't know.
Gentlemen, I've treated some of the girls that have come out and said they've been infected by the radium plant. One of the girls is so badly infected that I pulled her jaw right from her mouth, as you can see.
That's enough, Dr. Nephew. Put that away.
Fair enough. I'm sure you'd rather see the x-ray. The girl's jaw was so bad that she died. It was a very expensive operation. Her family never paid.
My sympathies, Dr. Nephew. But what has this to do with us?
Let me explain. There's going to be a lot more girls coming out and saying that they've been sick from the radium plant. Well, I say we do a bit of business. You scratch my back, I scratch yours, sort of thing.
I'm not following.
You give me a list of the girls that worked here, and I'll make sure there's no more lawsuits.
You think you can cure them?
Cure, no, but I'm sure we can work something out.
How so, Doctor?
I'll examine them for radium necrosis. Give a simple diagnosis like pyorrhea. Most of them will die a natural death anyway, and the ones that don't, just wait for the statute of limitations, and it'll be too late.
You'll persuade them that they haven't got a case against the company.
Exactly. And if it ever goes to court, I'll testify. Pretty big deal when the doctor that treated them will be there.
What makes you so sure that they'll come to you?
When it's free, they'll definitely come.
Because they'll be paid.
Exactly, Mr. Reader. Follow?
What exactly are you asking, Mr. Man?
I'm asking $10,000 for, let's see, the girls I've already treated, the girls I'm going to treat, and for the very expensive x-rays. I'm sure it's not really something we have to put on paper.
No.
Oh, then we just put it on paper.
We'll do nothing of the sort. That is immoral, and we want nothing to do with it.
Morals. You ever want to talk about morals?
You're threatening me?
Hey, just a business proposition, Mr. Reader, okay? All right, so you don't want to play ball. That's fine. But just remember, I'm not going to be the one that ends up on the short end of the stick after this.
Gentlemen, we'll make a statement on what happened this morning. We'll send it to the U.S. Dental State Society. And then Dr. Neff will see who's playing ball and who isn't.
January 12th, 1928. Jack Youngwood reporting for the New York Ledger.
And Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
Radium girls go to court today.
The Radium girls knock at the doors of justice. Will they be heard?
These poor girls face pain.
And disfigurement.
Ruin.
And death. Will the clock ticking with the precious moments?
A hearing begins in Chancery Court.
Where the U.S. Radium Corporation demands a postponement.
While the plaintiff's attorney, Raymond Barry, makes a shocking disclosure.
Showing that the company lied to the Department of Labor.
Showing that they distorted the Harvard study.
Concealing the ill effects of the product.
Read all about it in the ledger.
Read it in the graphic. We care because you care.
February 21st, 1928. To Mr. Raymond Barry, from Harrison Martland, Medical Examiner, Essex County. We have examined the remains of the deceased Amelia Maggio. Our study shows the following. Radioactive substances have been found in large quantities in the upper jaw, lower jaw, and lumbar vertebrae. No evidence of syphilis was found.
Body is radioactive.
Bones of dead girls kick off gamma rays.
Catherine Wiley of Consumers League declares new evidence that company lied.
Dr. Joseph Neff, a Newark dentist who treated Amelia, has turned over portions of the jawbone he removed from her mouth. This x-ray film shows that the jawbone was radioactive 5 years after the girl died.
Will this make your case?
Will this force a settlement? Make our case? No, this gentleman will make our case.
Last night, in the graphics exclusive, the founder of Radium Corporation broke his long silence with a shocking announcement.
Radium is the most dangerous substance known to man.
Dr. Von Stocky, is it true that you assisted with the autopsy?
Yeah, and given my expertise in radium extraction, I was able to determine that Miss Magia had enough radium to kill 10 people inside of her.
Doctor, what does that mean with the mild radium treatments? Are you now advising against it?
This will be the cause of death of these young girls. It should be considered a very dangerous substance.
Do you agree with the doctor's prognosis? Do the radium girls actually have 1 year left to live?
From what I've seen, they'll be lucky to last that long.
What do you think? The red or the blue?
So what's Barry saying? Is he gonna go back to the company?
I like the red, but it don't fit so well these days.
Is he gonna try and talk them up a bit?
Miss Wiley says another interview should do the job, so I say, what's one more, you know?
Well, it's worth a try. What if they come up to 5,000? Would you take it then?
Let them come up, I'm not caving in.
It's called a settlement.
A settlement? It's just a way for them to hide.
So let them hide.
Then they win.
So what they win? They're gonna win anyways.
Nice to know you got so much confidence in me.
Grace, you got one lawyer working for nothing, and they've got 6 lawyers working for bundles.
You know what I found out today? They put lead screens in the laboratory for the technician. Did they give us lead screens?
Oh, Jesus.
And what do you think? 100 girls in the room, and they're going to spend that kind of money on us?
Chris, what are we doing here?
And they want to keep it all quiet. Miss Wiley says they're closing up down here, moving across the river to New York to put up a new factory like nothing ever happened.
Grace! What are we doing here? I thought the point was to get some money, settle your debts, get you a better doctor, and then get on with things.
Get on with things.
You're still wearing my ring.
Tommy.
Grace, there's a house for sale in my brother's neighborhood. 2 rooms up, 2 rooms down. It's not much, but it's a start, and you'll like it. It's close to the school.
School? What do we need with the school?
Plan ahead for once.
Tommy, what do you think is going to happen? When all this is done, you think things will just go back to the way they were?
Why wouldn't they?
I got to see the surgeon again.
Uh-huh.
I've got some fluid, he's going to drain it.
Okay.
And then he says there'll be more.
That's okay, we'll deal with it.
And still more! And then more, and still more! Why can't you see that? How can you talk about getting married and buying houses when you know that there's nothing?
Grace, I can't think about that right now. I want to come home to you, my wife at night, my home. I'm too old to be living this in-between life. I promise, I'll do whatever I can to make it easy for you.
Here.
Grace, come on.
I should have given it back to you a long time ago.
I don't want it.
Tommy, please, are you gonna make me say it?
You need to get some rest. You're not getting enough sleep. I'll be back to visit you tomorrow.
Tommy!
Get some rest.
Tommy, please! Don't you do this to me! Tommy!
Arthur.
Oh, Charlie.
Shouldn't you be headed home by now?
Well, I've been thinking about this. We're taking the wrong approach here. I think we should offer to settle, find a reasonable number for the girls.
Arthur, we've talked about this. We need a definitive victory or else we allow more of this same nonsense.
Things have changed, Charlie.
I know you were close to Dan, but you can't let this cloud your judgment.
Well, Von Sashaki is testifying.
We'll deal with him.
How?
Put more money into his pocket.
You want us to bribe him?
Not a bribe. Consideration.
Consideration?
For an expert witness. Whatever Barry's paying him, we'll make a better offer.
You don't understand guilt, do you, Charlie?
Right now, I don't have that luxury.
Let me tell you this. A guilty man has a tremendous need to unburden himself. His guilt can eat him alive. All Von Sashaki wants is to be free. That's why he's testifying for the girls. That's why he'll never testify for us.
Settle with these girls, and we'll have to settle for all of the other ones.
Well, I'll have Merkley talk to Barry, figure some numbers out, an offer for the girls.
More numbers? What are you trying to do, Arthur? Are you trying to ruin me?
We have to get this off the table.
Every penny, Arthur. Every penny I've put aside these past 7 years, I've sunk into this company. Why? Because of you. Because you said it was a sure thing. No miss. Why work for Von Sashaki when we can work for ourselves? That's what you said. Take a chance, Charlie. Take a chance.
We were fooled, Charlie. Von Sashaki fooled us all. And now it's our mess to clean up.
Do this, and it's over, Arthur.
You're stepping down, Charlie?
Not me.
Well,
don't you know? They're one vote away from kicking you off the council.
and whose vote is that, Charlie?
Arthur, you have such little faith in me.
I'm a stockholder, Charlie. You don't have enough votes to get me off the board. I will still be on the board.
So you'll still be on the hook when this company goes under. Think about that next time your conscience comes in.
Rise and shine!
Madam Curie?
Time for work.
Am I late? I set the alarm.
We have $5,000 to pay before breakfast. Up, up, up. It's all fuzzy whatever.
Please, I'm so very tired.
No complaining. Good soldiers don't complain.
I'm dying.
And who isn't?
Get up, Grace.
Irene!
Get up, sleepyhead. You'll never make a quota like that.
It's not fair. I'm only 26. I should have children. My own home.
We all have to make sacrifices sometimes.
I know I did.
But why? Why do we have to make sacrifices?
It's all for science, Grace.
Science, family, everyday life is sacrificed to something. It's just a matter of choosing which.
But I didn't choose. I didn't have no choice.
Sure you did, Grace. Sure you did.
Catherine, don't do that!
Oh, now look what you did, Grace. She's bleeding all over the desk.
I'm sorry, Catherine. I guess I shouldn't have said anything.
No problem. What's one more dead dial painter? Up, 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 up.
Huh? Grace?
Mama.
Grace? Mr. Markley will be here any minute.
Mr. Markley?
He's bringing them papers for you to sign. Did you fall asleep?
Has Miss Wiley been by?
Miss Wiley?
About Catherine. She said she might come by. Did she come by?
She might have.
Don't you know?
Someone came to the door a while ago. I think your brother answered it.
I took Catherine back to the hospital last night.
I know, dear. After we talk to Mr. Markley, we'll go over and see how she is. Now put a comb through that hair.
I dreamt she died.
Grace, don't speak such things.
If she dies, it's over.
We're 3 months behind on the mortgage.
I know that.
You can't let this go on.
$1,500. Not even a year's wages.
Well, it's better than nothing.
Is that all I'm worth? Better than nothing?
Of course not, sweetheart. But we gotta be realistic. At the rate things are going, you'll never make it inside that courtroom. And even if you do, you can't prove nothing.
Mr. Barry thinks we can.
Mr. Barry ain't paying the bills. There's the doctor and the bank and the coal man. You can't expect folks to keep treating us like charity just because you're sick.
I'm not asking for charity, Ma. I just want what's owed to me.
Grace, I know it feels like you're letting Catherine down, but if she decided to take the company's offer, would you hold it against her? No, you wouldn't. Now we'll take that check, and we'll pay Mr. Markley, and with what we have left over, you and Tom will keep it, and it'll be something to get you started.
There's nothing to start, Ma.
Why do you have to be so hard on Tommy?
Ma, please don't.
Can't you see? He just can't face the thought of you not being with us.
I have to face it. Why can't he?
Do something with your hair, Grace.
$250,000. What would you do with $250,000, Miss Fryer? Why, I couldn't imagine. No point to it. Ma, you didn't tell me you had letters. New Mexico, huh? What's it? She was here. Miss Wiley was here. Mom, Miss Wiley was here. She came this morning. She left me a note.
Miss Fryer, Edward Markley.
Ma, so you brought papers?
Yes, it is spelled out as we explained in our letter. $1,500 to you. I have a check right here. All we need is your signature. It's in triplicate.
Grace, Mr. Markley is a very busy man.
I don't mind. Look it over carefully. If you prefer, I could leave it here and come back tomorrow.
No, we'll do this now.
What's hold harmless?
It means you'll hold the company harmless against any further actions.
No more lawsuits?
Correct.
Is that just for me or anybody in my family?
Your entire family. It precludes a wrongful death action also.
This is a confidential settlement.
Yes.
You didn't say nothing about this being confidential.
That's standard for most legal defenses, Miss Fryer. We like to protect our privacy and your privacy also. You agree to keep silent about the terms of the settlement, and so do we.
That seems fair.
Need a pen?
I have another question.
Grace, Mr. Markley just explained the settlement to you.
Ma,
I don't mind.
what's contributory negligence? It's not in these papers, it's in the other ones. The ones you signed when we did the lawsuit. The radium plant said its defenses were the statute of limitations and contributory negligence.
I'm not sure what you're asking me, Miss Fryer.
It means it's our fault, don't it?
It's a standard defense, Miss Fryer. I wouldn't take it personal.
How else can I take it?
Mr. Markley, Grace has had an awful headache all day. If you'll just leave the papers, Grace will sign them later.
Maybe you can just answer the question.
Why are you doing this?
Why didn't you tell me Miss Wiley was here?
You already made up your mind. She'd only try to change it.
What did she say about Catherine?
Mr. Markley, if you leave them papers, Grace will sign them.
You didn't answer my question, Mr. Markley. And I'd really like an answer, because believe me, I quit school when I was 15. I went to work at the radium plant because my folks needed the money. At your factory, they told us what to do, how to do it, when to do it. My folks didn't raise me to make trouble, so I didn't make trouble. I never asked no questions. How do you get contributory negligence out of that?
As I said, it's a standard defense.
There's nothing standard about what happened to me.
We are sincerely apologetic about your situation, but there is no evidence to tie your condition to the actions of the U.S. Radium Corporation.
Then why are you giving me this money?
It's a humanitarian gesture.
Humanitarian?
Mr. Markley, I'll take them papers.
Humanitarian. Month after month you put me off. Delay after delay, knowing how sick we were, how tired, how desperate. Humanitarian. You're just waiting for us to die.
Grace, please, stop this.
Mom, one by one, I watch my friends get sick and die in the most horrible way. And you expect me to be grateful for any spare change they throw at me?
Miss Fryer, this is an incredibly generous offer, and I suggest you take it because it won't be on the table for very long.
What do you mean?
If Miss Fryer doesn't sign these papers in the next 24 hours, we will be forced to withdraw our offer permanently.
Grace?
He's lying.
Pardon me, miss?
You're trying to tell me if I don't sign these now, but I come back 2 weeks from now and saying I changed my mind, you'd still rather go to court? You'd still rather some judge get a look at me and take your chance I won't win on sympathy alone? 24 hours. You're just trying to bully me.
All right then, Miss Fryer. I'll take that as a no, and we'll see you at the hearing.
Yes, you will. You will see me. If they have to drag me in there, you'll see me. You and Mr. Reader both.
Grace, you call that man back right now.
I'm going to court, Mom.
I don't know what you're trying to do. You're not going to be able to prove anything.
I want them to look at me. I want them to look at me and tell them how it's my fault I got working in their factory.
And what will that get you? What?
Ma, all my life I've done what other people have told me to do. I quit school because you told me to. I put that brush in my mouth because Mrs. McNeil told me to. And I never said, please can't I finish school? I never once said, I don't like the taste of this paint. I never asked questions. I never argued. But I knew, Mom. I knew something wasn't right. At night, I'd lie in bed and I'd see my dress on my closet door, all aglow. My shoes on the floor, my hairbrush and comb on the counter. So much light, Ma, so much light. I never once questioned. I never once asked. Don't you see? They knew I wouldn't. That's what they're counting on.
Oh, Arthur, so it is you making all this noise.
I left you messages for your housekeeper. I know you got those messages.
I thought because we were no longer in contact, I thought it best not to respond.
Is that what this is about?
Perhaps you should have some tea. Come here, nurse.
You knew that the paint was dangerous, and you didn't tell us? Not a word to me? Or to Dan?
I did not know.
You didn't know! You didn't know you made the paint! And you didn't know? What's with all these lies?
I did not know until it was too late, Arthur.
I should put you through that wall.
Perhaps you should, but you will not. Sit, you will have tea, and you will calm down.
I was not the technical man. You were the technical man.
Yes, technical man, just calm down, Arthur.
I sold watches. I was a salesman, for Christ's sake.
A good one as well. Very smart businessman you are. Science man, not so much, but businessman, very good. You were able to cut the costs without cutting down on the product. It's a gift, Arthur. Have some tea, huh?
Christ, what's wrong with your fingers?
It has been like that for some time.
Have you been dipping them in ink?
Dipping them in ink. Such a fascinating idea. The girls, the radium was toxic. It got through their jaw. For me, the fingers. It's an unfortunate situation.
I had no idea.
I do not expect you to know. We have not seen each other in some time.
How long?
But I always knew. When Miss Maggie and the doctor asked me to go to the radium plant to do the inspection, they persuaded me. I could not refuse. I did not want to believe it. I did not want to believe that the thing I created in my own kitchen was dangerous. I did not believe it until my own breath tested positive for radioactivity. And now, my hands. And now you come to see me.
I'm sorry.
Perhaps you should meet with the doctor yourself.
Why do you think?
Do you not remember all the dust kicking up from your feet when you would go home at night?
Of course I remember. How could I forget? I tracked it all through the house.
So it's fair to assume that some of it got in your lungs too, huh? Remember this?
This is our promotional piece.
Exactly. How many copies of this one did you sell?
I don't know the exact numbers, but we sold quite a bit. It really helped the medical market.
Yep. Page 96.
Page 96?
Read it to me. What does it say?
Page 96. The dangerous effects of radium.
Dangerous effects. How many articles are in there? 10? 15?
About 18.
Very good. When was the last one that was posted? Furthest back. Check for me. What's the date?
I'm not sure.
Read it. What does it say?
1906.
1906. Now tell me this. You want to testify against the Radium Corporation. Do you know nothing? How are you going to say you know nothing? Right here, in your own book, it says the negative effects. How are you going to say that you knew nothing?
I never read it.
What was that?
I said I never read it, okay? I paid someone to piece it all together, but I glanced through the galleys and never read the book.
How do you mean you've never read the book?
It was a standard arrangement. An outside company prepared the piece. They were responsible for all the content.
Which you never read.
Mr. Barry, I'm sure you'll find that a lot of company presidents don't read their own published works word for word.
It has your name on it. You authorized the book's release, and you had the final approval of the content.
Mr. Lee was in charge of our business endeavors at the time. Our promotional piece was all his. We entrusted it to him.
Now, Mr. Reader, you testified that you started at the U.S. Radium Corporation in 1918.
Yes, as plant manager.
And you held this position for how long?
For 4 years.
During those 4 years, how often did you venture into the studio?
Every single day.
Every day. So you must have observed the girls pointing the brushes onto their lips.
I do not recall.
You're saying you went into the studio every day and you never saw a single girl put a brush to her lip?
I said I do not recall.
You don't recall it. What do you recall, Mr. Reader? You're an awfully young man to have such a faulty memory.
Objection!
I withdraw. No more questions.
Your witness, Mr. Markley.
We have no questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, gentlemen, please approach. I'm ready to issue my ruling.
Your Honor, we have yet to present our defense.
I realize that, Mr. Markley, but this proceeding is to determine standing. Now, I've heard enough of these 2 days to make that determination. The radium in the bones of these girls is an ongoing source of poison in their systems. Nothing your witness can say can change that, will it?
Our witnesses are prepared to testify that the company could not have known about the dangers.
Mr. Markley, in the interest of justice, I'm asking that the defense rest without calling any witnesses. We can conclude this hearing today and schedule the case for trial.
All right, Your Honor.
Fine. I therefore rule the statute of limitations has now been exhausted and these girls have standing to sue.
Your Honor, one thing. I have a very full schedule with 2 other cases pending, and a key witness will not be available until the end of summer. We can't be available until September.
Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Our chief expert witness is involved in an institution of higher learning. This is the busiest time of year for him. I cannot expect him to appear.
Mr. Markley is responsible for this situation. He is the one who has demanded the continuous delays.
Your Honor, we have just agreed to waive our right to present witnesses at this hearing. Surely you will not force us to make our defense without our key witness.
All right, Mr. Markley. The trial is set for September. The hearing is now adjourned.
Edward, why can't Flynn appear?
He's going to Europe.
Europe? But he's known about this for months. Why would he? Very clever. Edward, how long do we plan on keeping this up?
As long as necessary.
Mr. Markley?
Mr. Barry, congratulations. I never believed the court would go for it.
You know full well these girls can't wait until September. One is so ill, she can't appear in court.
My client has the right to make his defense.
We will not wait until September. I promise you that. One way or another, we will find room on that docket. And your expert witness be damned.
She's still staring at me.
I wouldn't worry about it.
She thinks it's personal, like I made this happen. How do I make her think otherwise?
You don't. You don't make her understand. You don't talk to her.
But she looks like death, Edward.
They all look like death, Arthur.
That man, Miss Wiley. He won't look at me. He won't ever look at me. He just looks right past me like I'm not even there.
Grace, it doesn't matter. He heard you.
June 4th, 1928. Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
Jack Youngwood for the Legend.
Raymond Barry seeks trial date for early summer.
U.S. Radium Corporation declares a settlement.
A settlement?
$10,000 for each girl. $12 a week for life.
$12 a week?
Read all about it in the Ledger, your first source for news.
The U.S. Radium Corporation also agrees to pay the girls' medical expenses for the remainders of their lives, and the girls have agreed to submit to a periodic examination by a group of registered physicians yet to be appointed. Any questions?
What led to the settlement?
Is it an admission of responsibility?
And what about the other pending cases?
It is purely for humanitarian reasons. The U.S. Radium Corporation has agreed to this settlement. We admit no liability whatsoever.
Where does the company go from here?
The U.S. Radium Corporation is pleased to have brought this lengthy litigation to a close and looks forward to many more years serving its customers and this community. That's C.B. Lee, President.
Catherine Wiley of the New Jersey's Consumers League. Our press statement.
Miss Wiley, how do you feel about this alert?
Finally, these poor girls receive some compensation for their suffering. But more importantly, the issues of radium poisoning has been brought to public awareness.
Thank you, Miss Wiley.
The spelling, by the way, is Wiley with one L and Catherine with a K.
Oh, Catherine, this won't do. We can't see your name. There, that's much better. Well, I brought my watercolors today, and a beautiful day it is too. The trees are just starting to turn, and the weather's still warm. Too warm for a sweater. A fine day to paint.
Thought I might find you up here.
You were right.
It's quiet up here.
Yep.
So what's that called?
Watercolors. I'm a bit weak when it comes to landscapes, though.
No, Grace, it looks good.
The first thing I bought with the settlement money was some paints. I got some oils, too.
Big spender.
Then I bought a car.
I didn't know you could drive.
I can't. My brother's gonna teach me. He drove me up here today.
You want to learn how to drive, Grace? I'll teach you.
Tommy, we know you don't have time for that.
So you heard about that.
Tommy, Orange just isn't that big.
That's what I came to tell you. I meant to tell you myself, but I just...
It's all right, Tommy. Really, I'm happy for you. For both of you.
So no hard feelings then?
Do you really think I have time for that?
Are you glad? You don't feel like you backed down too soon, do you, Grace?
We didn't back down. They backed down.
It was over here.
Not this again.
This
This is where I saw her last.
This is morbid, Papa.
I stood there, and she didn't notice me at first, but something made her look up.
Oh my. No wonder Mom won't come for driving. At this site, spend your Sundays.
I saw her looking at me, and I looked away.
Just like that day in the courthouse. He can't bring himself to look at me.
You need to find another hobby. Retirement isn't good for you.
Harriet, my heart was pounding. I never knew what I would say to her if I had the chance, and suddenly, there she was, and I had the chance.
So what did you say?
I couldn't bring myself to speak.
It's as if he's afraid to look at me.
I couldn't speak.
He's afraid of me.
Oh, Papa, that was years ago. Why don't you just forget about it? It's not like it was your fault. Nobody knew about things like that. Then science wasn't as advanced the way it is now.
I like to think back on those days, and I like to think, how could it happen? I remember so clearly walking up the stairs to the studio on Alden Street. The wide windows, the way the light came in from the windows, the way they hit the floor, and those floorboards, the way they creaked under my feet. The smell, it was chalky, like an old schoolhouse. And those girls, schoolgirls really, all bent to the task in their green little smocks, their delicate hands working so fast, so precise. No man could work the way they did. And their brushes, to the dials, to the paint, to the dials, to their lips. Try as I might, Harriet, try as I might, but I can't remember their faces. I never saw their faces.